there? I know there's still a few days, but do you kind of sigh some relief here?
Don't start. Yes, there is definitely no. As far as the fight happening, no. At this point, I believe the fight's going to happen for sure. I've seen Charles. I think I saw him on Monday. They're here. They're ready to go.
Have you been following his social media at all? It seems like he's already like in the sauna a lot, doing the in-room sauna stuff. Like, do you think he's having a tough cut maybe?
Someone sent me that. See, the thing with sauna is you don't know, because some people enjoy doing the sauna. I got one in my house it was during COVID time, so it's been a while. My track of time is not good. In the beginning, I was doing a lot of sauna, so I just enjoyed jumping in there, and I would. But I would do it just for fun. So maybe it's one of those things, instead of working out, he wants the sauna instead. I don't know, but I'm just assuming he's going to make the weight.
What does your weight cut process look like over the next 48 hours or so?
Water load for today, and hoping to wake up about, somewhere around like 10 to 12 pounds over, and then just get the rest done tomorrow.
And you've done a lot of media leading up to this fight, and it seems like you've been very confident in your ability to go with Charles on the ground. Is that something like you're embracing, or is that just, if it happens and the fight goes there, you'll be very confident?
I mean, I hope I'm confident in that. That's supposed to be my base. That's supposed to be where I started from. I'm a jiu-jitsu athlete. That's where I started. My coaches are some of the best in the world, and so if I don't have the confidence to go on the ground with him, then I shouldn't have confidence in anything I do.
Where do you think he's at right now? Because he obviously lost the belt last time out, and he says like he won't even watch that fight, and just like that's not even him. Do you think that's a mistake? Maybe not, recognizing his flaws and how to build off that performance?
I don't know. Everybody's different when it comes to stuff like that. I'm assuming the best Charles, the most aggressive, even defensively better than before. The way I look at it is, I want to prepare for the guy at his best, and how would he be his best? And I kind of analyze what would I add to Charles's game to make him even more dangerous. So I'll add those things to his game, and I'll prepare for that kind of person.
And to you, it seems pretty clear the stakes, right? You win here, you're fighting Islam in October in Abu Dhabi. That's how you feel?
That is correct. I spoke with Hunter when we rebooked this fight, and that's what they said. I would be number one contender.
And when you just look ahead, obviously don't want to look past Charles, but like, what do you think of Islam? What do you think you can do with him that other people haven't been able to accomplish so far?
I just think there's nothing really he does that I can't do better. I know people will disagree, but they used to say wrestling, I can't wrestle with these guys. Last fight I showed it. Now we're talking about jiu-jitsu. Next is going to be striking. It's like, I could do it all, and that's really what I want to show the world. I could do it all, and so as far as Makhachev goes, I don't see anything that he does that I can't do better.
Thank you.
Front right here. Obviously, leading into this fight, a lot of the narrative is, two high-level grapplers fighting each other. And historically, in the UFC, when you get two wrestlers or two jiu-jitsu guys, it kind of can turn into a striking matchup, maybe. So, how would you rate your striking compared to Charles?
I think this is one of the few times where I would say defensively I'm better. Typically, that's not something I say. But I would say striking-wise, defensively I'm better, and then offensively I think I have just as much power. I would say he has a little bit more variation in his strikes, but that doesn't change the fact that, it's who lands. It's not about what you throw.
And I saw an interview where you said, like, if it was just a regular grappling match, you'd probably win 9 out of 10 times. That's what you believe. So when you're watching Charles's past fights, he obviously has the most submission wins in the UFC. What do you think his opponents are doing wrong in there, knowing that you know what he's looking for, but they're still kind of succumbing to it?
One, they're terrified of his grappling. I think that's the biggest one. And two, he's very good at offense when it comes to grappling. Like, he'll jump on your neck, he'll jump on your arm, he'll jump on the leg. But once you can get past that is where he starts to hit that wall. So I think I'm the kind of guy who would either not even allow him to get there, or I can get past it if he does jump on a neck or an arm. And so then it comes the next layer. And I think I have more layers than him. And I think that's what makes me the better grappler.
And one final one for me. When you guys were booked in Newark and then it got moved here, Gilbert and Bilal, they took your spot as the co-main, and it was a 5-round fight. Was there any talks of making this a 5-round fight in a co-main event?
It was never mentioned to me. I mean, you tell me 3 rounds, I fight 3 rounds. You tell me 5 rounds, I fight 5 rounds. Fighting is like, I always tell people, those 15 minutes I have in that octagon are my freedom. Like, I have 15 minutes of freedom to do what God has given me. You know, the talents that God has given me, I get to use them, and I get to do it freely. So 15 minutes or 25 minutes, it's all the same.
Do you feel like almost you don't even need those extra 2 rounds because of the way Charles fights, it's either he's in there for a couple of rounds and it's either win or losing, right?
Yeah, I mean, typically it seems that way with him. If it's a 5-round fight, it never goes 5 rounds. I don't know how many decisions he's been to in general. He's not really a guy. I remember his fight with Frankie a long time ago. He went to a decision, but he's not really a guy who goes to decisions. Lately, I've been in more decisions than I would like, but at the same time, I'm fighting a higher level of competition.
You mentioned your confidence going into an Islam fight. You know, before his last fight with Alex Volkanovski, he had this sort of aura of invincibility. Do you feel that Volkanovski's performance against him sort of hurt that aura, or were you confident anyway?
I was pretty confident, but he just reaffirmed what I believed. I knew there were things I could take advantage of, similar to Volkanovski, but I think even better because, just I have a little bit more jiu-jitsu than Volkanovski and wrestling as well. I just think I could do better. So, it reaffirmed what I believe, and I think when the time comes, it'll be my fight.
Would you be interested in fighting Volkanovski again if he wants to move up to 155? Should you be the champion?
Volkanovski is a pound-for-pound king, right? To say no to him wouldn't really make sense to me. I get an opportunity to fight such a great fight. The only thing is, I want to defend my belt at least against another lightweight first, because I don't want the division to get held back. That if I'm the champion and I have the opportunity between Volkanovski or a contender, I go contender, and then we talk about Volkanovski.
So with that said, does it, for you in your mind, and not to look too far in the future here, right, but we got Gaethje and Poirier, and then potentially Chandler and Conor. Out of those 2, which name out of those 4 would you like to defend your title against?
Man, like I said, Lord willing, I win this fight, and then, I don't know what tomorrow brings, and then if things go well with Makhachev and everything, I believe it's going to be Justin Gaethje. He seems a little bit hungrier, but at the same time, it's hard to say with Dustin Poirier, right? I said this before, Dustin Poirier, what makes him special is when he starts to get tired, his details improve in the small movements. So he's a very difficult guy to fight in 5 rounds. I know this fight's 5 rounds. It is an elevation, so I think that's also another advantage for Justin. I'm still leaning towards Justin, but it's a hard one. As far as who I would prefer between the BMF or Conor or Chandler, I would definitely say the BMF. I think these guys are more active. I think if Conor wins and he beats Chandler, I know the UFC will give him a title shot, but I don't know if he's really deserving of it. So I think the BMF title makes more sense.
Beneil over here. I've talked to a lot of fighters about this fight, and the common consensus is, Beneil, we need to see him get that title shot. You have so much support going into this fight from your fellow fighters. What does that mean to you? It seems like across the board, everyone just really wants to see you get that opportunity.
Having my peers just respect and show so much respect and say the things they say, it is awesome. Obviously, if you care about anybody's opinion, it should be your peers in your work, right? So that's great. It's the whole thing's been kind of strange, to be honest with you. I have fellow athletes telling me I should be fighting for the title. I have a lot of media telling me I should be fighting for the title. And then even the fans, I thought they were going to be, it was going to take me forever. Like, I'd have to defend my belt before they say, okay, this guy's good. But even the fans seem to think so. So it seems to be the trifecta. It's just the UFC hasn't seen it my way yet.
What was your reaction when Islam did end up fighting Volkanovski, and instead of you, were you annoyed? Like how did you keep your composure? Because I'm sure a lot of people in that situation would be really upset.
If it wasn't Volkanovski, if it was somebody else, I would be very upset. Because Volkanovski is a pound-for-pound king. He's defended his belt multiple times. So I understand that he has the he has the privilege to do this if he wants. So, and he did. It wasn't the best timing for me, but whatever. He wanted to do it, great. That's the fight that happened. That's kind of what helped me stay on track. Obviously, I was still frustrated because imagine I should have fought for the title, let's say March or something, or February. That would have been incredible. But again, I recognize who Volkanovski is. I recognize how the business works. I put myself in everybody's shoes, helps me to reset, refocus, and I'm here. I'm here for Charles. This is what I'm here for.
And just last thing on that fight, did you score that fight for Islam after watching it? It was very close. Some people felt like it could have gone the other way.
So I had Makhachev winning either 48 or 49. But here's the thing: if it's 48 and then the last round could be a 10-8, you could potentially call it a draw, right? If it was a 48 card, I thought Makhachev won overall, but that last round was very interesting.
And just one more, sorry. Charles takes a lot of damage in his fights. How much do you think that will play a factor in the matchup, just with the fact that you don't get hit a ton in your matchups?
So I don't want to think of it like that, because if I think of it like that, here's the thing. You think to yourself, oh, this guy breaks. And then when you're in that octagon and he's not breaking, all of a sudden you start to question yourself. Or you say, oh, this guy's taking a lot of damage. And all of a sudden you start to dish out this damage and he's not going anywhere. It starts to mess with you. The way I look at it right now, the way I look at Charles is he's young, he's hungry, he's better than he's ever been. Striking in terms of offense, defense, grappling in terms of offense, defense, he's the best he's ever been. And he wants to kill me. So it's kill or die. I either kill him or I die. That's the way I look at it. I don't think about his past fights. I don't think about what's going to happen next. I'm thinking about Charles Saturday and what I need to do to beat him.
Beneil, it's over here, just on your left there.
Oh,
here we go. Oh, sorry, right?
Yeah, I was like,
just touching on that. I mean, Charles does tend to take damage, and often you'll see him be on the brink of defeat, and then he rallies back. How does that factor into your game plan? Do you maybe take a step back? Walk me through that.
well, typically when he comes back from these defeats is because people are afraid of his grappling. I am not afraid of his grappling. I recognize how good it is, and I understand that there's danger in it, but I am not afraid of his grappling. So if something in that sort of situation does take place, I go to the ground and I lose my mind basically when I say stuff like that happens. I remember the fight with Diego Ferreira. Second fight, I hurt him with a knee, and he basically pulled guard, and I could hear everybody saying, like, just get up and just get up and punch him and finish the fight striking. But I thought to myself, why would I get up? I worked hard for this position. Why would I give up this position? And so I went as hard as I could for the rest of that round. And it was a decision. It wasn't the finish that I wanted, but I understand the difference. If I had been disciplined, it would have been great. But I'm not afraid of people's games. I'm not afraid of your judo. I'm not afraid of your wrestling. I'm not afraid of your jiu-jitsu or your striking. Whatever I need to do to win, I'll do that.
And the two of you are really both kind of action fighters. What are you expecting from his pace, and do you think he can match your pace?
I think he could definitely match the pace. I just don't know if he'll last, is the way I look at it. If we both come out and we keep this high pace and the fight goes the way, what most people are thinking, I think I'm more durable. So I just think I'm going to be able to outwork him eventually and just finish him like that.
That's all from me. Thanks.
Beneil, here to your left. Just going into this, 8 wins, and I believe Charles had 8 wins when he went into his first title fight with Chandler. I mean, do you look at him at all as kind of a blueprint or motivation going, hey, he went that long road, it is possible?
For me, I don't think there is a blueprint because take Charles, for example. He had one top 5 fight, and that allowed him to fight for the belt, right? He fought Tony Ferguson, and he was able to get the title shot. Well, Makhachev, he fought, I think maybe he had one top 10 fight. I'm not sure if he even had any at that time. And he ended up fighting for the belt. So my blueprint is different than everybody else's. I have top 5 wins. I have top 10 wins. I have multiple top 10 wins. And so my blueprint's different. The work I put in is different. And I don't mind that it's different. I actually appreciate it more, and I respect it. I have respect for those guys, and I just appreciate my work more.
I know you've said you've been told it's for the title. Is there any doubt in the back of your mind that something crazy happens? I know you've said if it's not a title fight, we riot. Do you think that's a possibility?
UFC never gives me their word. They're very honest with me. I call them, and when we speak, it's very clear. Whatever they want with me, it's very clear. We don't play games. So this is the first time they've ever said, "Hey, yeah, you're number one contender if you win this fight." So I just take it at their word, and I'll figure out the rest afterwards. But right now, take Charles out, and if they say something different, we'll talk about it then.
Thanks very much.
Beneil right here. You recently said that in your last loss way back in 2018, Alexander Hernandez, that at the time you were telling yourself, my career is dead, I'm on the verge of retiring, this is going to be my one last push, and lo and behold, here we are 8 straight wins later. Is retirement at all on your mind? Not now, or is that something you've proved to yourself that you deserve to be here?
The reason retirement was on my mind was because I wasn't able to train the way I should, and I wasn't able to basically be a fighter. So I thought to myself, if that's the case, maybe it's over for me. I spent a lot of time in prayer. I spent time in recovery, and things picked back up. So at this moment, I don't really have a timeline for recovery. For retirement. My thing is, when the time comes, I believe God will just tell me, hey, you're done, sit out. And hopefully I'll be obedient enough to say yes.
And just one more for me. Around that same time, Charles Oliveira, I think at the end of 2017, was probably, had his worst record in the UFC. I think it was like 1-3, something in that range. And again, 2018, the start of an 11-fight win streak for him. Is there sort of an extra level of respect that you both sort of faced that kind of adversity and were able to turn things around at relatively the same trajectory?
Man, from coming in, young fighter Charles Oliveira, and people like touting him, saying he's the next big thing. Then he goes on and has kind of like a 500 record, moves between 55 and 45, and he's just struggling to make weight sometimes. To go from that into that last run he had, there's a reason why he's a legend. That's the best way to put it. But look at him in Brazil. They idolize him. And I understand. I'm not big on idolizing anybody, but I understand why. I understand why he's so loved in Brazil and why he's so respected. And I have a ton of respect for him. I just believe this is just my weekend. That's all.
Thank you.
Beneil's still over here. First off, welcome to Vancouver. Your impressions of the city, 2-part question. And at this stage in your career, the journey that you're on, how important is it for you to share it with your family? And does it help, maybe not as a distraction, but just enrich the experience no matter what city you go in? So Vancouver, I got to tell you guys, it is beautiful here. I didn't realize how amazing this place was because, it's a short flight, 2 hours. So people have told me to come here, vacation, and bring the family. You'll love it. And I'm typically so busy. I travel for work, and I just take my family. That's the vacations they get, right? But as soon as I got here, I realized I had made a mistake. I should have come here a long time ago. So far, we love it here. And as far as having my family at Fight Week, I got to tell you guys, I brought my daughter and my wife, last time to Abu Dhabi, long flight, and almost felt like every fighter there was looking at me. Not every fighter, but pretty much a lot of the fighters were looking at me like, "What the heck is this guy doing?" Right? Like he's here for maybe to collect a paycheck and go home. But the thing is, I don't know how to explain this to you guys. Fighting was always easy. Fighting was always the first answer. Like, as a kid, I had a problem, let's fight our way out of it. It's not hard to throw me in somewhere and say, go to the death for some reason. That's just the way I'm built. But now tell me to be patient while my kid's screaming. Tell me to be patient with my wife who we can't seem to communicate at times. These things are difficult. These things I have to work harder on. And to separate myself from them for 1 week, 2 weeks, I'm adding to my difficulties. It's a lot easier to just have him here with me. And when the time for the fight comes,
I'm gonna kill or die either way. So it's not an issue.
Lastly, as a guy who's eventually going to be fighting for a championship, your fight is just before Amanda Nunes. The level of respect that the male fighters have for what she has accomplished in her career as being one of the greatest of all time, male or female.
Yeah, we're talking about Amanda. Yeah, oh my gosh. So a lot of people have been, telling me you're the main event, you and Charles are the real main event, blah, 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 blah. And I have to make sure I pause and let them know, listen, Amanda Nunes, arguably the greatest female fighter of all time, I don't think, I don't agree with what they say, basically. I tell them I think she's there for a reason, and I agree with that decision, and it's a privilege for me to be on the same card as her and to be the co-main event of that card.
Right here. What does it do for your confidence to have Rafael Cordero in your corner, fighter who's a builder and pioneer of the Chuta box, which is the very gym your opponent's now fighting out of?
I don't really think of it like that. I just think of, man, I have Rafael Cordero as my coach, as a father figure. So that's really how I look at it. We've spent years together, and he's taught me so much. Those are the things I care about. It doesn't give me more confidence knowing that he was a former coach there. It just, or a founder, or, part of the foundation, whatever you want to call him, a pioneer there. I just have confidence in what he's taught me. I have confidence in the work I've put in, and I have confidence that this is, God will give me this victory. That's what my confidence is.
Yeah. I'm just curious. How do you think Conor McGregor will do against Michael Chandler?
So, to be honest with you, I think Chandler stylistically is a good fight for him. Especially the Chandler we've seen the last couple of fights. Reckless, doesn't use a lot of wrestling, and seems to get tired, right? I would say stylistically in the top 5, that's the best fight for him. The issue now becomes, Chandler's been in the heat. He's been in the fights. He's been having these fights, and he's have tough fights, against good guys. So it's not like he's just coming off the couch. I think that's going to be the problem for Conor, is fighting someone who's been in that octagon and he hasn't been there in a while. But I think stylistically, Conor's striking is slick. Whether you like the guy or not, you have to respect his skills. He has very slick striking. His timing is definitely a little bit different than everybody else's. And I think his grappling is actually not bad either. He has good grappling. Now, can he put it all together and not get tired and find the finish on Chandler? That's the question. I'm still leaning towards Conor, but it's it like kind of wavers every now and then.
Okay, and just last one, a prediction on the main event.
Okay. Let's see. The problem is Aldana's so tough. I don't see her getting finished. So, but I do think Amanda's going to win. You know what? I'll go with Aldana. I'll just go with an Aldana. We'll go KO Aldana like 3rd round or something.
To your right, Beneil. Here. Hey, when you're studying Charles, obviously he's very erratic and his style is kind of hard to mirror. When you're looking at him, is there one area you can pinpoint where you know that you're better than him?
There's many areas. Obviously, like I mentioned before, I think the grappling, I think the wrestling specifically as well, striking as well. I know, like you said, he's got wild striking, but I think what I do in my basics, I do better than what he does in his erratic movements, like you called it. So there's many points that I see a difference in, and I think I can take advantage of.
Thank you.